Hey everyone, Derek here, and what you're about to hear is one of the topics from our Real Talk podcast, which goes up every Monday. Now, if you'd like to listen to the entire podcast, just click on the iTunes or SoundCloud links in the description. And if you back us on Patreon, you can listen to the podcast 3 days early every Friday. With all that out of the way, let's get to the topic. I chose a topic from Tyler Caldus, who wanted to know, should the new Pokemon games follow Fire Emblem Fates' model of release, with two highly separate campaigns, parts of regions, and being able to purchase the other for half price as DLC into the same cart? And I don't think that, obviously at this point, the Direct is either going to happen or has already happened, so we know whether or not that's a thing with Pokemon Sun and Moon. But I think as an idea, I really like this concept because it's for so long it's been, the same game just with minor differences, mainly in which Pokemon you catch and the like. And having a completely different Pokemon experience with some crossover, like let's say you have this one region, but for whatever reason you can only explore the center and eastern part of it, and the other side can only explore the western and center part of it. And you get a little bit of crossover and are still able to trade over those games, but it also gives people a reason to buy both versions because there's that new content that they can experience. And I really like the idea of that. Do I think they'll ever do it like that? No, never. But I do like it as a concept.
Yeah, that's, I go back and forth on this. I'm so torn. I think it's an interesting concept to explore every now and then, such as with Fates. At the same time, the problem with this then is if you want the full Pokemon experience of that generation, you're going to have to buy two to three games. Yeah. Whereas right now, you can buy one of them and be content that you pretty much had a full experience. Yeah, there's some minor variations with the different versions, but story-wise, you got the whole experience for the most part. So, I don't know. It depends how they do it, of course. But I'm kind of okay with how they're doing it now, where, it's weird. I can see both sides of this, because at the same time, it's like, well, if you buy both versions, you're rewarded for doing that by having these totally different experiences. But I don't think many people do that. So at the same time, I don't know, it's so weird, right? Because if you're inclined to already do this anyway, it works out for you. But I do wonder if people might feel like they're missing out, by not getting that full experience. In order to get that full experience, you have to end up paying 2 or 3 times as much.
Ooh, yeah. For me, I would say it all depends. Does it feel like I'm getting 2 games there, or does it feel like I'm getting 1 game split in 2? I would not want to have to pay more for a game that just has parts removed from it, which is how I felt about, I think, Mario 3 and Game Boy Advance for the longest time, where I thought the cards just added levels that were in the original, but they were actually new levels. Which I found out recently, so I was like, well, I was wrong on that, but for the game, I think it's best just for them to keep it as one world and just focus more on, they already got a ton of Pokemon to put in there. Just mix that up or maybe some events, try to polish the Pokemon better, graphically focus on that instead of trying to focus on 2 campaigns. I would say.
Yeah, I can. It's so funny because I can see you guys bring up great points. I didn't even think about that, the cost aspect of it and whether it be worth it. Because in my mind, I was one of those kids who I didn't have anybody to trade with, so I bought both versions. I'd use my sister's Game Boy in order to trade over and get a complete Pokedex.
Hardcore.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. And I know I'm not alone in doing that. So I'm already kind of buying the same thing. So to me, have a completely different experience the second time around makes me much more interested in playing the game again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also the thing nowadays. I do usually only play one. So yeah, it's probably going to stick to the way it's always been. There's no reason to change it to something like Fire Emblem Fates. And I don't even know if Fire Emblem will do the same thing over. And this might have just been a one-and-done experiment. Maybe to just see which kind of Fire Emblem is the one that's most preferred. But, I don't know, as a one-off thing, or them experimenting with maybe a side series or something like that. Maybe, like, Pokemon Conquest Fates. The strategy spin-off for Pokemon and having different things that way. Experiment a little bit. There's a lot you can do with Pokemon, as we've seen many times over.
Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu. Pokemon Snap 2.
Oh, where is my Pokemon Snap sequel? That's all I care about. That and Geno. Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a good question. I don't think they're going to change it, but I think as an experiment or maybe just for one time, I think it'd be interesting to do.
I mean, yeah, I would agree it would be interesting to do. Again, it comes down to how they do it. I mean, it's something like they've done with Zelda, right? Way back with Oracle of Seasons and Ages, where similar games, it's similar, but also completely different at the same time. And they came together to form a whole, even though you could enjoy both by themselves. And in that case, it worked. So if they can find a way to do it right, awesome, great. The problem is, I think, with Pokemon, it's so much of it is just about, it's less so about the story. I don't know, Derek, you know more about it than I do. You played the recent ones. But
story, yeah.
I know their story, but the fundamentals of that game is always about, like, collecting Pokemon, right? So I don't know if you can change it up substantially enough between two different versions to basically warrant doing the same thing twice, but I don't know, maybe they can.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Alright, well, I think that covers that topic.
And while that was a little short, we thought the topic was very interesting. As a reminder, you can listen to the entire podcast right now on either SoundCloud or iTunes. The next episode will go up Monday for everyone, or Friday if you become a Patreon backer. Thank you for watching, and of course stay tuned to Game Explained for more on Pokemon, Fire Emblem, and other things gaming.